Good evening and welcome to the breakdown. I'm your host, Rick Wilson, joined as always by
And
Maya May. We'll be listening
hi.
to some slow jazz, and having a highball.
We're going to just come in smoothly today because
Right,
everybody has
this is
had.
going to be like the smooth jazz of TV tonight. We're just going to ease on into it.
Can I
Or
scat?
not. Skibbity bip bop bip bop bop.
Boom. Checks and balances. Checks and
Yeah.
balances. I actually wanted to start with Ryan. I was like, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Before you
Checks and
unbalance your country and impose a fascist dictatorship like that one.
yeah,
It's one
that
of
rap.
it's a lesser known 90s song, but here we are.
Here we are.
Actually,
The breakdown starts
it's
now.
90s, 80s, yeah.
We're talking about Ice Cube. Check yourself, right? Is
Yeah,
that
I think that's actually late 80s. Is it not? Is that 89?
I
Check yourself
don't
before
know,
you-
and I'm embarrassed that I don't know the answer to this. I have
I don't
no
know.
idea.
I don't know.
But I know the song. You better check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Somebody in production better find out for me because they're going
Yes,
to tell me any
please.
second now.
We need to know.
Although
but yeah,
everybody in production, no one in production was born when that song came out. So, who knows what could happen. 1992. Damn it.
Was it
Okay,
92?
we were close.
Okay.
Yeah, we were close.
I was in high school, to date myself.
Yeah.
There. Thanks.
Hold on. Yeah. You know what?
So 7 years before your birth. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Riley. Our producer Riley's like 7 years before Riley was born. And I'm ancient, old as the hills, old as time. I'm going to make up sort of Disney song about that, or not, because I've got so much time on my hands now that I've been banned from Twitter.
Oh yeah, I saw it. What happened to free speech absolutism? I thought
free speech absolutism. So what we learned this week were the following groups are fine on Twitter: Nazis, Nazi adjacent Nazis, neo and crypto Nazis, white supremacists, weird ass ball tanning aficionados like Tucker's like ball irradiation fan types.
I can't get that out of my head. Thanks.
Yeah, no, sorry. It's there forever now. When I think about Tucker tanning his balls, never mind. I don't think about Tucker tanning his balls.
Taint no stopping him now.
Short, there's no group on Twitter that gets banned unless you write an article on your Substack called "Kill Tesla, Save the Country." The article did not call for violence of any kind, of course, because that's just not that wasn't necessary. The fake moral bullshit panic of Snowflake Town, of every MAGA in the world pulling at their pearls, clutching their pearls and crying, and oh, I got so frightened of that Rick Wilson horrible tweeting. There's a destination, into a direction in which y'all should fuck, and that is all the way off, because the same people who talk about the January 6th terrorists as peaceful tourists with love in their hearts have decided that I'm a domestic terrorist for saying we should do everything we can to peacefully drive down Elon Musk's stock price at Tesla.
And we're just helping it go down. It was like already on its way down. We're just
all I'm doing is leaving a boat anchor into the water at the already drowning car company. They were already, the Douchepanzer, the Inselwagen, whatever you want to call it, the Cybertruck. There have been 46,000 Cybertrucks sold. Do you know how many have been recalled this week, Maya? 46,000.
I was going to say exactly.
Every single Cybertruck has been recalled. Why? Because the glue they used to hold the Cybertruck together, people, doesn't work, and they're falling apart on the road.
Oh, is it the same glue they're using on the rockets? Like, this is the thing.
Space is hard and rocketry is tough engineering, But we have been building cars now for about 120 years. They're called rivets, Elon, and welding, and stamping, and pressing. Look into it.
It's basically like he wanted to keep that sleek exterior, so he used the equivalent of double-sided tape. But
pretty much. Like, we have a thing called speed tape for airplanes, and it's basically like the toughest duct tape you've ever seen in your life on one side, and very thin aluminum, like the thickest foil you can imagine on the other. Basically, these cars are made out of speed tape and bad ideas. So look, we weren't proposing anything more than what the market's already been doing to Elon, and the market has been taking him to the shed and beating the shit out of his stock price for months now, month and a half since Trump took over. It peaked right around the early part of December, I guess, and I don't know, maybe it's that Roman salute, or maybe it's trying to end Granny's Social Security, or maybe it's randomly firing, I don't know, veteran suicide counselors and air traffic controllers and doctors and researchers. But it could be the Social Security. Good luck, Elon. You're doing great, Bunky. You're going to be fine. That Doge thing, man, you're going to come out of it. You're going to be the most popular man in America. Oh,
yeah.
wait.
Well, and one of the things that I'm glad that you touched on.
You're in America.
One of the things I'm glad you touched on, Rick, is the domestic terrorism aspect,
Right.
because it's pretty clear if you watch enough Fox News that their new thing now is to label everybody on the supposed left, or anybody who supposedly wants to keep democracy, is actually a domestic terrorist, which to me is definitely a pretense for, at this point, I worry that they might start trying to deport people who are actually U.S. citizens by labeling us as domestic terrorists.
We're finding out tonight, Maya, that because there are no checks and balances, because there is no government other than what's up in Trump's brain, these attacks on the judges, they're coming because the judges are making rulings and asking them questions to determine if their acts and actions are legal. For instance, one of the questions that was asked of the Department of Homeland Security was, can you give us a list in the court of everyone you took to El Salvador to place in a for-profit work camp? And they said, F you. Then the judge got up on them and they said, F you also. And then he asked the question, can you tell us if you know they were all criminals? No, we can't. So now they've had to admit they sent innocent people guilty of no crime who were here legally to El Salvador and put them in a for-profit slave labor camp that is run by by Burkle, the El Salvadorian president. And they're angry because judges are saying, this ain't how it works, bro. This ain't it, chief. This ain't how the Constitution and the rule of law works in America. And you mentioned they're attacking them all as like radical judges and rogue judges. The reason they're doing it is because they want to do what they've done to Congress. They want to control Congress out of the White House, and they want to say that Congress or that the judicial branch owes the president complete obedience. And if you don't, we'll come and kill you. That's the message they're sending. And the message is getting, I mean, Lisa Murkowski actually came out and said the quiet part out loud. They don't want to get killed. They don't want to get politically, nuked by Elon Musk. They don't want to have the violent crazies approaching them and stalking them. And so they're trying this with the judges now. We are in the moment of the constitutional crisis everyone expected we would get to, because the people around Trump view the court as their enemy, and they believe that they have the right and the power to dictate to the courts in a system of government that the Constitution laid out with 3 equal branches. They get to, they're like, we've already controlled 2 branches. Why can't we have the 3rd? It's crazy.
Yeah. And we actually have a clip of that, so we can roll that for defending the rogue claim.
We have rogue judges that are destroying our country.
There's been some criticism that the Alien Enemies Act has only been invoked 3 all during times of war. Do you feel that you're using it appropriately right now?
Well, this is a time of war because Biden allowed millions of people, many of them criminals, many of them at the highest level. In many respects, it's more dangerous than war because, you know, in war they have uniforms. You know who you're shooting at.
So we're at war apparently with Venezuela, except for the fact that we're actually not at war with Venezuela. In order to
I was told
he has to actually declare war.
Right. I was told a couple of times, because I've been around for this show a couple of times, that we don't go to war in America without either a declaration of war or by a clear statement of mission defined under the War Powers Act of 1974. Call me crazy, but I have missed that. But I think it's like a lot of things. Donald Trump believes he can declare something in his mind and psychically it becomes real. He manifests the war. And I was also promised that we would have no more wars. That's what I was also promised.
This was supposed to be the party that was going to get us out of wars, right?
That we were going to get out of all these wars. But, you know, look, if we are in a war in Central America, what has ever gone wrong with the U.S. Going and fighting a war in a humid jungle climate with unwilling soldiers in a inhospitable environment? What has ever gone wrong with that? I can't think of a single thing except, Vietnam. Oops.
Yeah, that thing.
The idiocy of these people is exceeded only by their unbelievable historical ignorance of everything. But the idea that Trump's waging a war is...
And real lives are being caught up in this. Part of what the judge is asking is, so is this supposed to apply to all Venezuelans now? Is because that's generally what this act has been used for, is to segment an entire population of people and sequester them away to camps. And so would that apply to all Venezuelans? Because if we're at war with all of Venezuela, then that's what it would entail and require. And one of the people caught up in this is just a Venezuelan soccer star who has a tattoo that looks similar. It's a tattoo of his soccer league, and I guess they mistook it for a Trendagua tattoo. And so
it's a Real Madrid. It's a Real Madrid tattoo on the professional soccer player who was here legally under a program for political under legal refugee status.
Yeah, because he had been tortured after being in a protest in Venezuela. And so this idea that they're just rounding people up that's why we have trials for people. That's why we have hearings, so that evidence can be presented, so that innocent people don't end up being shipped off to another country.
Maya, that strikes me as way too complicated. We're in a war. I mean, come on.
Yeah, due process. Nah, do deportations. That's what they're doing. They're like, get them out of here.
Do deportations, right?
But you know, I joked about them perhaps deporting American citizens. If you remember, the El Salvadorian president, when they were talking about the prisons, said we could also accommodate American prisoners at some point as well. And people were up in arms about that because they were like, well, that's illegal. And so the fact of the matter is, I wouldn't put anything past these guys. That is, Donald Trump has been just tap dancing all over the Constitution. He made it very clear that he's okay with throwing out every article of the Constitution so that he can get his way. So that's where we're at. Can we get to some joy? Do we have any joy today?
Do we have any joy tonight? I don't know if there's any joy or not.
I don't
joy. Have any joy tonight? I'm looking.
You know, the closest, you know what? Every time the press secretary says something dumb, it makes me joyful that I'm.
Can I just say this? And I mean this with all sincerity. There were times when I was her age, in my late 20s, where I would stand before the cameras and brief people. When I would go and talk to members of Congress and brief them and lobby and all this other crap. And I've given a ton of speeches and I've answered a million questions from the press in my career. And I mean this with professional sincerity. The attitude and affect that she is presenting every day to the press of I'm an arrogant, uninformed, snotty, not very well educated person. It may appeal to a certain element of Trump's manias and behaviors, but it's way beneath the dignity of the office that you're trying to uphold, the desperate dignity you're trying to shove into it. But the arrogance of it is kind of astounding, and it does catch up with people in media, in communications rather. It does catch up with people eventually, and as smug as she is right now, there will come a day when the bullshit machine at the White House, when the shit filter gets full, and those reporters that are sitting there worried that they're going to be thrown out of the press room, she's going to have no reserve of goodwill when something goes sideways with this White House. None at all. She's not going to be able to say, hey, give me a little slack here. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to get the answer for you. Let me find out. She's absolutely burying herself in this thing. And as much as the White House thinks that the rules only, that they make all the rules, there's political physics. And that's one of the things. And she is about to, at some point, I think in probably the next 3 to 6 months, have questions she cannot answer. And she's going to keep trying to bullshit the Trump party line. And at that point, they stop looking to her and they start going and getting folks, other sources and leaks in the White House. And just like last time, the Trump White House will, like good White Houses leak on purpose, bad White Houses just leak. They're about to slide into that second phase a lot harder than they even are right now, because she's just an arrogant and honestly kind of a vapid little performer. And the performance is the same dumb shtick that like the 65-year-old white bro watching Fox goes, I like her. She put me in place.
We actually have a clip so y'all can see for yourselves. We'll roll that.
Do you think it's a good use of Congress's time and the president's political capital to try to impeach and remove a federal judge, which would take 67 votes you're unlikely to get in the Senate?
Well, look, the president has made it clear that he believes this judge in this case should be impeached. And he has also made it clear that he has great respect for the Chief Justice John Roberts. And it's incumbent upon the Supreme Court to rein in these activist judges. These partisan activists are undermining the judicial branch by doing so. We have co-equal branches of government for a reason, and the president feels very strongly about that.
I'm confused. Co-equal or because
wait, it's co-equal, but do everything we say to you, or we're gonna send the goons for you, or we're gonna impeach you. How? The disconnect is wide on this.
Yeah,
it really.
The ability to contradict herself in under 20 seconds is quite impressive. But this idea of activist judges, the judge in question, I believe, was appointed by a Republican, so not quite sure that is. You know
what I love is that we've had judges appointed by noted left-wing radical George W. Bush and noted communist activist George Herbert Walker Bush. And hero of the Soviet Republic, Ronald Reagan, all rule against Trump's immigration actions, all rule against Doge actions. Yeah, are they joined by justices appointed by Obama? Sure. Excuse me. But there are people from across the political spectrum in these positions, all of whom are saying that the Trump administration is behaving in ways that are illegal and unconstitutional.
Well, yeah,
and
you want to talk
I'm sorry
about
it hurts their feelings so much, but here we are.
Yeah, you want to talk about at war. If anything, or we're not at war in Venezuela, but the Trump administration is definitely at war with the judicial branch. Like they did,
right.
That's very, very clear. And one of the many organizations that are affiliated with the Trump administration was a part of making a claim that Reggie Walton, he was one of the judges who
right.
he spoke out. And because he spoke out, they filed ethics complaints against him. And it's like, no, he's doing his job. And when he spoke out, he spoke out about the threats that judges are receiving because of the Trump administration. And they very much, they know what they are doing when they
know what they're doing.
That their base is chomping at the bit to be able to carry out an attack, if you will. So
Maya, here's the thing. They are going to convince themselves over and over again that Donald Trump can speak no wrong. And he's going to say, these judges are corrupt and evil, and they're the ones who are part of the conspiracy to let these terrible rapists and murderers and criminals come and kill you. And people are going to say to themselves two things I think that are really scary. One is they're going to say, hey, you know what? When Trump said that if you don't storm the Capitol, you're going to lose your country, and everybody that went there and committed crimes, including assaulting police, they got pardoned. People are going to say to themselves, you know, I could teach those judges a lesson, and the boss will pardon me. Tell me there's not like a hint of that out there with these people already, that they're thinking, you know, yeah, sure, it's illegal, sure, it's murder, sure, it's wrong, but wouldn't it be for the good of the country if I helped save it from these corrupt, evil judges? And I think there are people in Trump's world who look at those pardons for the January 6ers, and there's a broken part of their brain because of that.
Well, the precedent has already been set. So stochastic terrorism is now the new law of the land in Trump's world. So we can expect more of this escalating of language around judges. It's not going to go away. He's not going to stop, and his base isn't going to stop. Not even in the slightest. So
it really isn't.
Oh yeah, and apparently Elon Musk is. This guy has too much money. Truly, has too much money.
Yeah. Let's see. Handjob Boebert, Eli Crane, Andrew Clyde. From what I was told by somebody, is one of the stupidest individuals to ever. Like, he was described to me like the guy literally said, "I've had cattle that were smarter than Andrew Clyde." Brandon Gill is a little wingding. Andy Ogles. First off, Andy Ogles is one of these guys who talks tough all the time. He's like, I'm a gun-toting, two-way strong man. I'm a manly man. I reek of testosterone and gun oil. And he won't hold a town hall meeting because Andy Ogles is a, Derek Van Orden, former Navy SEAL, and now runs from his constituents as well. And of course, Chuck Grassley has been in the Senate since the year 1402, and it was before even the country was founded. So anyway, assume you're dead.
But these guys can all feel free to attack the judicial branch because they know that they have Daddy Warbucks Musk backing them up every step of the way. And so that is cause for concern, and which is why it's important, I think, to research all of the other vehicles that are so much better than Teslas. There's so many EVs out there that
there's so many EVs. I've been talking about this now for a day and a half. BYD is coming to America with really good cars, okay? Really, really, really good cars for 40% of the price of a Tesla. You can buy, you guys, if you want to buy electric vehicles, God bless, you have options for days. You have Rivian, you have Polestar, you have Lucid, you have Aptera, you have every other Honda and Toyota and Ford and Chrysler. Everybody's making EVs. You got those last week. And instead, you've got people like who want you to drive the douche Panzer, and as if that is the apotheosis of great cars, which I just find astounding.
Yeah. Have you ever been in one? It really is like it's all computer. It's
everything's computer. Everything's computer.
Everything's computer. But
everything's computer.
But Again, I just don't want it to get lost in the mix here that they are very much trying to create the narrative that there are not supposed to be checks and balances, that the judicial branch is supposed to serve somehow at the behest of the president, and that is not how it works. And so we have to push back.
As they say in the ad, how any of this works.
No, it's not. This is why we need civics education, Rick, or like a game show or something, and have people just read Articles 1, 2, and 3 of the Constitution. And
I mean, how hard can it be, folks? It's not
short.
It's short. The Constitution is shockingly not a huge document. You could brief up on it in a couple of days and get really, really good at it. I do want to say, and folks, it's hard to find some joy right now. There is a little joy. You were talking about joy, and we've touched on it with this whole thing with the Pentagon and Pete Hegseth and the DEI purge at the Pentagon. And by DEI, they mean any American military figure who it was African American, Hispanic, Asian, American Indian. They have wholesale wiped those people from the online presence of the DoD. The DoD actually has an enormous number of historic websites, that cover American military history. And they have been purging everybody from them. Now, the blowback, this is the good news part, the blowback has been so overwhelmingly intense. Like, they took away the senior Medal of Honor winners recognition on the Medal of Honor website. The senior African-American Medal of Honor winner, guy in Vietnam who was wounded 3 times helping defend his artillery unit from a North Vietnamese division-sized group, fought them back, wounded 3 times severely, rose to become a 3-star general. They just took him away. And you know what they replaced on his Medal of Honor page? It has his last name on it. They replaced it with DEI medal. And the pushback was unbelievable.
Huge.
and you know what? And I was writing about this today, so I'm kind of like had this in my brain. They got rid of the Navajo code talkers. They got rid of the Misawaka Indian tribe, who 16%, a very small tribe back in the day in Iowa in World War II, 16% of them, and there were only a few hundred of them, went and enlisted and served in North Africa as code talkers and translators and radio operators. And they just got rid of them.
It's almost, Rick, it's almost like diversity is our strength.
This is the moment. Like I said, I was writing about this today. It's going to be my Friday brief tomorrow. Around the world, for the last 70 plus years, American soldiers and sailors and airmen and Marines and Coast Guardsmen and now Space Force folks have served around the world. And we are different than almost any other nation's military force because people from every background come and serve under the flag. Black, white, men, women, straight, gay, the whole package. They don't serve because we're perfect. They serve because we've shown in 70 years that as we integrate this great country, as we desegregated the military starting in 1948, we got better, not worse. We got stronger, not weaker. We got more capable, not less capable. That's the lie of their whole thing about DEI. This is to make impotent white guys who have erectile dysfunction feel better about themselves. Most of the ones who are the most pissed off didn't serve, by the way. And this idea that you're going to erase people. I mean, they literally took Chappie James, the first Air Force 4-star general in history. He was a Tuskegee Airman, training for World War II. He flew like 100 and some odd missions in Korea, 95 missions in Vietnam, including some of the worst and most dangerous air battles in the entire war. Became a 4-star general by skill and daring and cunning and warrior attributes that Pete Hegseth thinks only exist if you're like a roided up douchebag in a gym somewhere. I mean, they took out the 636 Harlem Hellcats, one of the most famous units in the Army, all African American, World War I. They fought like no other unit in the entire U.S. Army. They went and they fought on the front lines in the Argonne Forest, the Argonne Forest in World War I for 191 straight days and had 1,500 casualties. They were the absolute terror of the damn Germans. The Germans were petrified of them because they never stopped fighting for their country, even though they had no rights in their country. And to loop back on that, it's why this kind of thing is so important to me, because we have a duty of honor to talk about their history. We have a duty of honor to talk about their service. And the idea that Pete Hegseth, a punk bitch drunk, a DUI hire, an abusive, shitty, low scumbag, okay, has been gleefully spending most of his time as Secretary of Defense trying to make sure that he fires women and fires African-American generals and erases the fact that the American military is not all comprised of white boy douchebags like Pete Hegseth. It is, as a historian, it offends me at a level, as you can tell, that is pretty intense. And we owe everyone who has served, everybody, black, white, indifferent, everybody, to tell their stories. That's how countries hang together, is we tell the stories of our heroes. And erasing them is the most unpatriotic thing I can think of.
Yeah, or kicking them out of the military, which if somebody
Right.
wants to serve, they should be able to serve. And this idea of pushing people out somehow, and to me, the fact that Pete Hegseth doesn't want to push out any of the people who have, there were reports, I can't remember how long ago, it was a few years ago, reports about white supremacists that had sort of not just infiltrated, but who were a part of the military. It was a very high percentage.
Listen, there is
no one's taking them out.
There is a dangerously large subculture of white supremacists in parts of the military. It is real. It is an insider threat. It's not everybody in the military, but it's a measurable and meaningful number. And the fact of the matter is, after we integrated the military, there was resentment for a long time among a lot of white soldiers. They were very unhappy about it. But African-American soldiers kept sticking with it. They kept coming back. They kept volunteering. They kept taking tough duty in shitty places, in segregated units. As those units were being desegregated, slowly but surely, the people that are the most resentful are the ones who just get stuck. They're not going to succeed. They tend to be like the E3, E4 mafia, and a lot of them. And look, it's thankfully not a majority, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And I promise you, if somebody came to Pete Hegseth and said, this soldier is an overt racist, he's a member of the Klan on the weekends, and we should get rid of him, Pete Hegseth would go, is he a war fighter like me? And nothing would happen.
No, not at all. And I don't know if you saw, they tried to rebrand DEI now in the executive order that came out today as discriminatory equity ideology. And that's
okay.
That's,
look, they can, like a lot of things, you can call a steaming bag of horseshit cotton candy, but what Trump hands you every day is a steaming bag of horseshit, not cotton candy.
Yeah.
What else, guys?
Weren't we supposed to get to joy at some point?
Why don't we do some mockery instead of some joy?
Okay, mockery works.
One more piece of non-joy. In case y'all are wondering about the economy being fucked, it is. It's Trump's fault. And every time Trump or Howard Lutnick open their mouth now, the markets are like, the fuck is this? And they slide further. Howard Lutnick was a Commerce Secretary, not Treasurer. Howard Lutnick's pitching Tesla stock on TV, and it's like Get it down, baby.
Yeah, the amount of illegality that is happening in this administration.
Oh my God, it's just like it like never ends. It never
I think
stops.
we have a clip of that actually.
Okay, yeah, let's roll it.
Maybe we don't. I think we do. Of Lutnick. We do. We have it.
Play it. Roll it.
Or maybe we don't have it. We will come back to it, and we'll keep going. The one thing I definitely do want to talk about is it was like the Cribs edition that of
oh my God, with Frau Ingraham?
Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw it.
She won't be ignored. I got to tell you, when I tell you this, that she won't be ignored, she won't be ignored. You know that joke about like when the two worst people you hate say something? When Dinesh D'Souza broke up with Laura Ingraham years and years ago, he snuck back to his apartment. He had a basement apartment on Capitol Hill and shoved a water hose through a window and flooded his apartment. True story. I know things, Laura.
Not Fatal Attraction at all.
No, not a bit. I won't be ignored, Dan.
Like Trump led me into the Oval. We do have
let's roll it. Let's roll it.
I'm going to show you a lot. It's much different, never been like that.
It's HGTV's brand new series, House of Cards, Fascist Edition, highlighting key features such as concrete for women's heels.
Are you paving over the grass here?
What was happening is that's supposed to have events. Every event you have, it's soaking wet.
Yeah.
It's soaking wet, and people get, and the women with the high heels.
The same old conspiracy theories we've all become accustomed to.
If I didn't run, none of this.
Oh, no. They wouldn't have had any investigation. None of it.
They hated me, but you have to get on with your life.
They'd be on to the next target.
Right.
The original copy of the Declaration of Independence.
And they said, we have to do something like drapes or something because the light eventually affects it. And it's very cool. Isn't that great? Just went up yesterday.
Wow.
Think Joe Biden would do this? I don't think so.
And who could forget the Gulf of America?
And this is very important. Very proud of this Gulf of America. And in fact, Elon said to me, you know, we're landing in the Gulf of America. So.
Wow.
I thought we were at war. Aren't we supposed to be at war with Venezuela? What in the world is he doing?
All I can tell you is I'm texting John Turteltaub right now because I have the whole plot for National Treasure 4. Totally.
I want to know where he's keeping the Constitution. If the Declaration of Independence is on the wall, I'm guessing he's got a copy of the Constitution on the floor under his desk that he just steps on.
I can only imagine he's using it for a bath mat at this point. It's just so disrespectful. And I promise you, any kind of historian or archivist was tearing their hair out. I can't believe they actually got him to cover the damn thing up with a curtain. It's amazing.
I think that's because he wants to play like peekaboo with it. Like he's just like,
right.
Look at like some sort of weird, freakish fetish that he probably has about having the Declaration of Independence in his office. Just like,
all I know is Mommy Melania is going to have words with him if he does that. Hey, we actually have one more clip from that amazing White House scene.
Oh,
it's right here. Everyone thinks that's the nuclear. Everyone thinks that's the nuclear weapon. They think it's a nuclear weapon. They say if I press this, it's the end of the world.
Oh, and then there's like
and it doesn't seem to work out that
50.
Doesn't that look beautiful though over there?
I like that it says
That's
Coke.
his Diet Coke button.
Soon to be amended to. I guess it's keeps him going. Keeps him going.
Look, I'm famously, a Diet Coke guy. I do not, however, have a Diet Coke button. I do, however, have a Live Laugh Lucifer mug I'm drinking Diet Coke out of right now.
It's the Diet Coke button now, and then if he gets his way and his son somehow gets in there, it'll just be the Coke button.
Boom!
I do what I can.
You get so wigged out. I love watching the occasional Don Jr. clip because you can tell that guy is like visiting the highlands of Bolivia. The eyes are bugging out and the hands are moving so fast, and it's the whole thing. It's astounding to watch. And all I can say is play tennis, bro. Do something with you got way too much bound up energy to take that much, you know what. Anyway, God bless.
But the ridiculousness ensues and continues. We have somebody playing dress up. It's not yet Halloween, but she's on her. There we go.
Is it Cosplay Christie?
This doesn't feel efficient at all. I feel like those should come through and just kind of figure out how much money is being spent on all of her photo ops and her outfits. Does she have a closet of these?
I have to say this. There's no rule in politics. Never do a shot on stage with animals, people in costumes, or wear funny hats. At this point, she's dead dog may count as the animal, but Christie's constantly, I mean, every week it's like she's such a try-hard, and it's like I can just imagine like her texting her boyfriend Corey Lewandowski, "Did you see me tonight? I could wear the firefighter outfit later and nothing underneath." It's just so gross, and it's such a waste of time because if we're in this urgent war against the brown horde crossing the southern border, her showing up to play dress up every 30 seconds. At this point, I'm not going to be surprised to see Kristi Noem like crawling into a SpaceX rocket to be astronaut Kristi.
When you said crawl, all I could think of was Nakatomi Plaza, and I just pictured her crawling through like a duct for some reason, and that might happen as well.
I'm in Washington. We'll have a few laughs.
All these are serious people, folks, and that means that we have to figure out a way to beat them because they're not doing much at all except for distracting everybody while the Stephen Millers of the world are trying to push through things to make us as un-American as possible, and I'd like that to stop.
Yes, please. So, folks, get out there this weekend. There's the Tesla Takedown, peacefully, please, all across the country. And we'll be back with you next week. You can catch me. First off, you can catch Maya's excellent podcast, Punching Up, which is great interviews with comedians because comedy is a weapon for democracy, people. I say this a lot. Mocking bad people is a weapon for democracy. You can also catch me on the Enemies List podcast, which will be changing up a little bit here coming up soon. You'll like the change, I think. We're going to have some fun with it. You can catch me on the Lincoln Project podcast with some stellar guests next week. Do not miss next week's shows. I'm also on Substack. I'm also performing at the Branson Dinner Theater. No, I'm kidding about that.
I mean, like,
I had you for a second there. You're like, Branson.
Soon to be at the Kennedy Center doing Hamilton is a one-man show. Rick Wilson.
I think what somebody should do is unironically propose to do a review of the producers at Kennedy Center.
No.
So you could do Springtime for Hitler with Trump.
I was going to say Springtime for Hitler. It's coming.
And Germany. Deutschland's the new. All right, folks. It's Thursday night. We're punchy. It's been a long week. We've done a lot of things. We've written a lot of stuff. We've been on TV a lot. The Lincoln Project has been banging away this week. Totally appreciate all of the support. If you do want to help the Lincoln Project continue this show and the other work we do, go to lincolnproject.us/helptlp. Help TLP.
Or you can scan or
lincolnproject.us/donate. Or you can scan that little widget in the lower right-hand corner of the screen.
Yeah, that way.
That little widget down there. All those things help keep the fight going. We are building out our list of targets for 2028 or 26, excuse me. Oh, if we're still doing this in 2028, I don't know.
We've got so much to do.
I'm going to be in a wheelchair by then. But we're building our list of targets for 2026, folks, and we're going to put some of the worst of MAGA under the hottest of heat. So help us out. Appreciate you all. And Maya, I'll see you in a couple days.
See you in a couple days.
Don't look up. Elon Musk's rockets keep blowing up. Pieces falling out of the sky. Airports across Florida shut down. Planes are crashing. Near misses. Dangerous. What are Donald Trump and Elon Musk doing? Slashing the Federal Aviation Administration, the one government agency that protects you in the sky. It's crazy. Elon Musk doesn't care. He doesn't fly like the rest of us. For him, it's private planes, private airports. But there's another reason Elon Musk wants to gut the FAA. It's the agency that regulates his rockets that keep blowing up. The FAA has fined Musk's rocket company hundreds of thousands of dollars. Oh, by the way, you're paying for those exploding rockets. Musk gets billions from taxpayers. He wants to build spaceships to take billionaires to Mars. Yeah, nuts. Elon Musk is out of control.